They got garbage down the way. What's going on, y'all? Urban Therapy with Sun 752 is the Daily Go Getimism show. We are in motion. Everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be all right. It's not Friday night. It's not our normal music night, but we have some things that we need to talk about tonight. So I had to make a special exception. Had to make a special exception. So all my hip hop heads, we got to have a little talk tonight. I want to see where your head is. I want to see where your head is. You know what I mean? These Gen Zs are starting trouble. They stirring up trouble, y'all. You know they always starting up trouble. Yeah. Yeah. Where my hip hop heads at? Could it be? Could Jim Jones be better than Nas? Maybe not to me. Maybe not to you, but what we're gonna talk about tonight. I mean, hey, I can't imagine a world where Jim Jones would be better than Nas. But hey, you never know. I ain't gonna sleep on nobody. I'm gonna let y'all tell me. Chop and screw it. What year did Nas come out, y'all? Come on, y'all. It's golden age of hip hop. 1994, baby. When did Jim Jones drop his album? His first solo album, 2005? I believe so. It was a hit. But besides that first album, how many Jim Jones songs do you know? Ballin'. But it could just be me. I bought those albums. Bird Gang, Purple City. Yeah. Yeah. What? We gonna talk tonight. Okay, what y'all say? Y'all gonna have to give it up tonight. My man Troy Diesel. What's going on? T-Cab, right? So let's get it poppin', y'all. Urban Therapy with Sun 752 with this your daily. It's the daily go-get-amism show. You think it ain't when it is. You think it won't when it is. We are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting, and everything is gonna be all right. We're talking about Jim Jones versus Nas tonight, and everything is gonna be okay. We're talking about Nas against Jim Jones. What you say? And everything is gonna turn out fine. We talk about two pioneers of our time, or are we? 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 Let's get it popping. Yo, what's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling tonight? I'm gonna tell y'all how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like my watches. You know what I mean? Beating on these drums. I'm feeling like I'm about to break my wrist, but everything is good. Listen, the Daily Go-Get-Emism Show. I'm your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the rrrr. And if you can't say Omar with the rrrr, well, then you just say Omar with the R. Let's get straight into it. What's up, y'all? What's going on? It's a lot of chatter on the internet. On social media, things are going crazy. Things are getting crazy. Instagram, Facebook, even on YouTube. You know what I mean? These podcasts are doing crazy things. I saw a podcast. I saw a snippet of it. I didn't see the whole thing. But evidently, Fat Joe and Jadakiss, Fat Joe and Jadakiss have a podcast, and they had Jim Jones on there as a guest. Now, evidently, Fat Joe didn't mean for it to turn into a Jim Jones show defending himself about Nas or coming at Nas. He didn't come at Nas, but he stated his relevancy versus a Nas or compared to a Nas. And I was like, well. Now, when he started talking that way, because it wasn't even really his fight. Some young boy, 20 years old, was saying how he grew up on Jim Jones. He copied Jim Jones' style. You know, his style of dress, you know, the whole Harlem thing, the swag, and their style of rapping and what Dipset was bringing to the game. And, you know, I'm not going to front. When I hear people talk about Dipset like they was all of that, it always raises my eyebrows because I'm like, I bought those albums. I was there. I cared. But I just don't see how they was popping the way people be saying that they was popping. But I'm not going to get into how you feel about Killer Cam or Jewel Santana or Hell Rell or 40 Cal or my favorite boy on there. Well, Hell Rell was my favorite, but J.R. Ryder. I'm not going to talk about, you know, whether people knew them or liked them or cared about them or whatever, but I didn't feel like they was popping like that. But that could just be me. They have record sales that they can stand by, whatever. And it was said that Dipset was the first to go platinum as a group on Rockefeller Records. Evidently, State Property hadn't achieved those goals, even individually. Like Freeway album didn't go platinum. None of Beans albums went platinum, but Cameron's did. And I believe that Dipset may have. So I was like, Anyway, we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Nas versus Jim Jones. I never thought that I would have to even step up to defend this or talk about this because, lyrically, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I mean, this ain't no diss or nothing. I'm just... Oh, you said Freaky Zeke? Zeke wasn't even really a rapper. You know what I mean? I mean, just keeping it a buck. He was more like a security force for them. He knocked dudes out. He was just a wild street bull from Harlem. He wasn't really a rapper. Spent most of the time in jail anyway. Was he ever free when they was doing their thing? So anyway, it's Cameron cousin. But anyway, lyrically, when you talk about a Nas, comparing a Nas to a Jim Jones, like you gotta think like what are we talking about? What are we talking about? We talking about Nas and Jim Jones? Lyrics? So I'm thinking that we're going to have to go somewhere else. We're going to have to go somewhere else with this because I don't think that lyrically we can have that conversation about Nas and Jim Jones. We would have to go get some other characters. Now, I've been seeing some other things on the internet. I want to talk about that tonight. So, we can sop up the whole Nas versus Jim Jones thing, and then we can ring that out. And we can talk about some other ridiculous comparisons that I've seen on the internet or ranking systems that I've seen. You know what I mean? Like people are starting to get real disrespectful. People on the internet are starting to get real disrespectful with some of these questions and these comparisons and these rankings. I'm like I saw me a meme today talking about rank these 4 artists, and it had Black Thought, Nas, Jadakiss, and Andre 3000. And I was like, they said rank Black Thought, Nas, Jadakiss, and Andre 3000. When I saw that, it raised my blood pressure because I'm like, who the fuck made this shit? Did they just want to make it an easy one to go last? Like, just in case you get caught up between Black Thought, Nas, and Jada, like, just in case y'all get so busy arguing about who could be number one. At least you don't have to argue that with Andre 3000 because we was talking about lyrics. We talking about lyrics. Now, had it had something on there that didn't talk about lyrics, we could have had a different conversation. Because he could have won If you talked about record sales, if you talked about relevancy with his group and being solo, he could have actually went number one. But if you talk about lyrics, he can't be in that conversation with those three. He cannot be there in any kind of way. Not with those three. Not with those three. Maybe if you said Andre 3000 and T.I. and Ludacris and Bun B from UGK, 8 Ball, MJG, somebody like that. I don't know, Chamillionaire, some, Ace Hood, but you don't put no goddamn Andre 3000 and no lyrical comparison with no Jadakiss, Black Thought, and Nas. You don't. That's a no-no. Buana Haguski, what's good? How you feeling, my dude? And Enrique Odegaard? Is that what that is? Odegaard? What up, y'all? Thanks for coming through. Yo, so all right, let's get into this. I had to get that out of the way. You said Andre could be there. I disagree, big homie. Okay. Then fuck it. Let's do it then. How could he be there? Lyrically, how could he be there? I want you to put me a Andre 3000 quotable. Any line you want. Hold on, Troy. We're not ready. Hold on. Not yet. Give me an Andre 3000 quotable. Any quotable you want. Here's the reason that I said that lyrically, he doesn't. First of all, Andre 3000 wouldn't be in my top 100. He wouldn't make that. Not lyrically. Musically, yes. Lyrically, when I say no, I mean hell no. First of all, because I'm such a hip hop purist, if you say lyrics to me, I have certain requirements that are stringent. For example, in order for me to say that you are lyrical like that, you not only have to be good on wax in the studio with your writtens, I have to have heard you off the mic. I mean, off the records, freestyles, mixtapes. Like, for example, people try to keep LL Cool J out of that lyrical conversation. They'll talk about Big Daddy Kane. They'll talk about Cool G Rap. They'll talk about Biggie. They'll talk about a whole lot of people. They'll talk all around LL Cool J, and they'll try to say, well, yeah, because he made the love songs. And I'm like, well, you're not a real hip hop person, because you could never paint LL Cool J just inside of making records for the girls or inside that love song conversation. That's not it. That's not how he broke into the game. And when you think about it, most of his hits, the majority of his hits have been the hard shit, or they just have. Not only that, but every time LL Cool J goes on an interview, or if he goes anywhere he goes clipped up with a freestyle ready to go. That's not on the record. When you go to a LL Cool J show, you're going to get a freestyle. That's not on the record. Now, it might wind up on a record the next album, but it wasn't on this album that's there currently. So he always goes clipped up, ready to go. He got bars ready to go. And at 57 years old, he is still tearing shit down. So that's pretty much my requirement for being in that lyrical conversation. Now that's why honestly it's hard for me to not to rank Nas number one out of that four because I've never heard Nas kick anything outside of his writtens on records. I've never seen like when Rap City was out and they had The Basement. Did you ever see Nas in the booth? You know what though? Wait a minute. Well, let's see. Let's see. Hold on. Nas on Rap City, The Basement. Okay. Nas Rap City Basement freestyle. Well, let's see. Let me see if we could get that.
Be clear right now, it's Rap City Q45. We are in the booth. This doesn't happen every day. This man is not here every day. So what we're gonna do right now is have some fun with it. Enjoy yourselves. Nas, you wanna kick it off first? Not in.
Savoir faire. Oh, hold on. Look at little, yeah, I'm on my New York-ish. What? I'm on my New York-ish. Savoir faire. Radiant, conscious, clear. I'm about to have a monstrous year. Live in spots. Earl Night, we deep. Ladies looking sharper than termite teeth. Say la vie. The crew came to play, but I'm married, but they fly free. Check it. And my wrist is froze like toes on a body in the mall that was put there by the squad. Look here, I'm the god on the mic, on the track like Arthur Ashe with a tennis rack. Tell a DJ spin it back. Yeah, not the prince of rap, I'm the king of rap. Ben did that, amazing man. Letters from my Asian fans. Am I gonna play Japan soon? Broke back, yes, danced in the shower, got dressed old school, powdered my neck. I give, but I'm selfish. Tattoo on my chick lips on my pelvis. That's a pubic part. Excuse me, y'all. Think that I became musical. Way before rap, I did wanna be the tap dance kid. For oh my God.
Do we need to kill him?
Oh, he fucked up. He wasn't even 2 minutes in.
Okay. 10 years ago, a friend.
Wait a minute, he wasn't even, he was less than a minute in and he was already, okay, all right. But I gotta give it to him. It was all right. It was all right. It was all right. But if that was Black Thought, if that was Jada. Now, for that little clip, YouTube is probably going, bow! But fuck it, sometimes it has to be done. It has to be done. Now I ain't playing no more that basement shit. Nah, I mean they already gonna get me. See, I can petition this one out. You know what I mean? I can petition and get away with this. But yeah, I ain't gonna push the envelope. I ain't gonna push the envelope. You know what I mean? But yeah, at least I get a freestyle out of him. You know, I've heard Andre do a freestyle, and I'm like, Actually, I wasn't impressed with that. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't clipped up. But okay. So I would say Black Thought, Jadakiss. I'm gonna have to say Black Thought, Jadakiss, Nas. I'm not putting Andre in the conversation. Like he don't rank. But if I gotta say something, then I'll say him. But you know, if you force me, like because this the 4, I asked you about the 4. I'm like, well, I got 3. I can't do nothing with the 4. I can't do nothing with the 4. Let's see. No, he could still be in the category. Even if he's not a soloist, because he has had solo records, and like Black Thought is in the Roots. But how you gonna keep Black Thought out of a lyrical conversation? Like, how you gonna do it? How you gonna do it? Who's gonna beat him? Who's gonna beat him? Nobody on that list is gonna beat him. They're not even gonna get close. But I heard. You know, it's funny because we give so much love to Jadakiss when actually Styles P is better. That's the little, you know, that's the little thing that people don't seem to acknowledge. Styles P is actually better. But for some reason, Jadakiss got he gets all the shine. But Styles P is better. But it's all good. You said play the Aquemini from Andre 3000. You talking about some bars? What bars? Okay, if he got bars, quote him. Quote him. Like, I mean, he gets through songs. But think about like Miss Jackson. And I will be there the first schooling at graduation. Nobody with lyrics would they songs was great, but he's not in that lyricist situation. He's not in that conversation. You said the Roots are a band. A band is a group. And he wasn't the only rapper. Remember Malik B? When they first started out, it was two. They had two MCs. One says his freestyle was hot garbage and his oh man. Just like Run is not in that category and Chuck D nor EPMD. Nah, I mean, no, you can't really say that. I wouldn't say that because both of them, I mean, individually, you like, all right, you take like Sean P. He was with the Boot Camp clique, but lyrically, you know, the cream always rises to the top. So, you know, they can still be in that lyrical conversation if they are lyrical like that. So, but Andre 3000 is not that. People keep trying to say that he is. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not that. I'm not having it. He's not that. He makes great records. See. What up, Cheryl Halsey? How you feeling? My good to see me some you. All the time. Oh, you gonna bully your way in, huh?
You have a call.
You gonna bully your way in, huh? Yeah? So you just gonna bully your way in, huh? You said, all right.
Damn right. Damn right. I was going to shut up. You know, when you bring me on, I stay quiet until you introduce me.
No, I wasn't ready. You couldn't be in the background yet. You know what I mean? I was fighting. I didn't want you to jump in.
Matter of fact, I want you to start introducing me like they introduce us when we comedians. Coming out straight.
Cannabis is never mentioned because he fucked up bad. And plus it was rumors that he wasn't. But anyway, Cannabis was doing his thing. He was doing his thing heavy. But yeah, all right. So what up, Troy? What you got? What do you have to add to this conversation? I'm gonna let you go, get in since since I suppressed you before. You know what I mean? Go ahead. What you got to say about this?
Well, let me get on here with you, B. First and foremost, I don't know what's going on with Jim Jones. I don't know. Like I said, he must be in the 10 Track Commandments and getting high off his own supply.
No. Don't get me wrong. Jim Jones never said that he was better than Nas. He didn't say that. So let's get that squared away. What happened was in his defense of what the young boy had said concerning him, saying that he was more relevant than Nas right now. He was defending his position as an artist, as a lyricist, and as an icon. So I'm not mad at him.
I'm not mad at him defending himself and put himself in the category of who he wants to be. But what you don't do is mention Nas.
Okay.
You don't put yourself in that category.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And the thing I was meant when you was talking about Black Thought, Andre 3000, and Black Thought, and Jadakiss. When you do a list, you have to separate who's who. Andre 3000 is part of Outkast. So you can't put him in a list of top rappers because he's in a group.
You can't. Then how does Jada get put in those categories
Because
all the time?
Jada has went single. He had singles.
So
he had
did, so
shit by
did,
himself. He
so
had an
did,
album by himself.
so did Andre.
I never heard that one.
What
What's
you
the
ta-
flute? The one with
No,
the flute?
no, with the hey ya shit and all of that shit. That was it.
No, that was them. That was a split shit.
But
together.
but they both did. They just had two separate albums that they put together as one album. They had no collab. They had no collabs together. They did not rap together at all on each other's albums at all. So that's two totally separate albums. The Love Below did not have any Big Boy on it or any other features.
So the one that said roses, you must think your booty don't stink. They rapped on that together.
No, they didn't.
They did so. Look at the video. They rapped on that together.
Okay, but it don't take away from.
This is just my opinion, son. This is just my opinion, B.
But you can't. I'm saying you can't say that because they both was in a group, and plus you get judged on your lyrical talent, not on whether you were in a group or not.
You're not dropping. How many bars do you have to? So you mean to tell me if you got a whole album out and you're in a group and you're not dropping even but that many bars, you could be in the top 5 of rapping?
If you are a better rapper than everybody else lyrically, then you go in that lyrical conversation. If you deserve to be there.
Let me ask you this. When MTV used to do their top rappers, right?
Yeah.
When MTV used to do their top rappers, they did rappers that was solo. They didn't go over there and say, well, we're gonna put Chuck D, we're gonna take Eric Sherman, we're gonna take EPMD, we're gonna break them apart and put them over here. They didn't do that.
So what? But we have to go by the commercial criteria. What does MTV know about hip hop?
I'm going by. This is like I said, son. This is just how I always felt. If you're in a group, you're in a group. If you're not in a group and you're a solo rapper like LL, Nas, Biggie, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and all these other rappers that's on the solo side of things, then that's different.
It's not different. It's not. Because whether you in a group or not, you write your own rhymes, you do your own thing. That's your shit. You know, you look at Brand Nubian. They are a group of individuals. Look at Wu-Tang. Look at Wu-Tang. They are a group of individuals.
Let's look at Brand Nubians, right? When Grand Poobah left Brand Nubians, did he go to the top with his shit?
What do you mean? The top of what? He was already one of the best.
Bars? Huh?
He was already one of the best before he.
Right, he was already one of the best with the Brand Nubians.
And he was a part of a group before then, Masters of Ceremony.
Right. So when he went solo, he wasn't as good because
how
he was. Wait, let me finish.
Okay.
He wasn't as good because. Let me put it like this: he was good, but he wasn't great, bro. His whole CD, that whole CD was 360 degrees. What goes around goes back around, and the one he did with Mary J. Blige. That was the only two singles. Them the only two singles that charted. The whole album didn't go. It might have went gold, but it didn't go platinum.
Brand Nubian never went gold or platinum. So I mean,
the Brand Nubians might never went platinum.
They never went gold. They never went gold. They never went. Poobah said it himself on his solo album, the one that came out after Brand Nubian was all the way done. He came out with a solo project on an independent label, and he said, "I'm a rapper who never went platinum or more or less gold. They have never gone gold. They were a well-known group in the hip hop ranks, but they did not chart. They just didn't. Even with punks jump up to get beat down. All of they just didn't sell records. Just like with Nas, still Illmatic is popular and 5 mics in the source as it was. It never went and it didn't go gold. Sold about 300. And then when he came out with his second album after he had this big ass buzz, then it went gold and platinum or whatever. But in its heyday in 1994, as hot as that album was, didn't sell. He was on his way to getting dropped from the label. Yo, what are you playing with over there? You know, I'm hearing a lot of, like, are you doing something with your microphone over there? I'm hearing crackling and, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
you hear me looking to see a brand newbie and ever went gold.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, Pupa said it himself. Why would he say it himself? Now, of course, this was in 2000, maybe like 2002, 2001 or 2002 when that album came out. But nonetheless, you can't separate. If you are a group is just a number of lyricists that go together. So you're going to be judged on your personal your personal lyrical ability. Like even you, if you take EPMD, everybody has their choice of who they like better, Eric Sermon or PMD. Personally, I think PMD is better, but most people will say Eric Sermon. So it depends on how you're looking at it and what you're looking for. But nonetheless, Jadakiss is always in that lyrical conversation. Jay-Z is always in that lyrical conversation. Nas is always in that lyrical conversation. Black Thought just started getting into that lyrical conversation because motherfuckers was keeping him out before, but they just couldn't anymore because his Funk Flex freestyles and how he was murdering everybody in ciphers. You know what I mean? And I mean murder, like to the point where they didn't really want to rhyme. They didn't want to rhyme with him. It was getting nasty. It was like it was the same thing when Cassidy was doing his thing. Like, yo, I don't want to rhyme behind this boy. He's bullying us. So yeah, what up, Blue F? What's good? Said Rakim, KRS-One, and Kane. Yeah, he says those three, no more like them. Nah, they're more people. They're way more names than that. You know, but I'm glad you put those up there because those three names are always in that lyrical conversation. You know, always in that lyrical conversation. But I don't think it's fair to a lot of other artists that put in a lot of work because you say Rakim, KRS-One, and Kane. Are any of them better than Kool G Rap? Lyrically, I'll take Kool G Rap all day.
Well, that's your opinion, right?
Yes, of course, it's all opinion based. But
okay, my opinion is that I wouldn't say Kool G Rap because I'm gonna always say KRS-One is on top of a lot. It's the number one rapper of all time.
Okay, why?
Well, I guess KRS-One because the genres that was started from him and the things that he was able to do with his raps. He was commercial. He did Jamaican. He did
you talking about KRS-One?
Huh? Say that again?
You talking about KRS-One now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You know, a lot of that came out in the beginning was him. Just like Run DMC. Run DMC, Russell had them using rock music. KRS-One used rock music. He came out with Jamaican. He came out with commercial. He came out with teaching.
What commercial? What commercial hits did he have?
What you say?
What commercial hits did he have?
Let me see. Hold up. Even if you take away a commercial hit, I just say any song that's able to be played on the radio is a commercial hit.
Okay.
Because if it's not a commercial hit and it can't be played on the radio, then that makes it nothing.
Well, okay. So you could say top 40, but when we say commercial, you know what we're really talking about. We're talking about household name type shit. Chart. Yeah, we're talking about household name shit, crossover, and all of that kind of stuff. Like, does he have that?
No. Well, let me see. Well, back in the day, I don't think either of them. The only person that really had the crossover pill back in the day was Run DMC.
No,
and the Beastie Boys.
That ain't true. Not true at all.
Cool G Rap did it?
No. Cool G Rap never went gold either.
So who had that?
But if we're talking about lyrics, you know what I mean? It was more than it was more than LL.
There are lyrics. There are lyrics that couldn't be up there in the top 10 or the top 20. I go to a top 100.
Well, listen.
The top 100. I don't think that. Cool G Rap is in the top 15.
Top 15. If you're talking about lyrically, he's way more up there than the top 15. What are you talking about?
Just from 1 to 15, you can just you put them in the line of where you want to put them at. Like I said, it's opinionated. So wherever you put them at, where you put them at? You put Cool G
I'm talking about lyrics. If you want to talk about records,
lyrics.
Wait. How can you have a top 10 without Cool G Rap in it when you're talking lyrics?
He's in the top 15. I don't just judge them by lyrics. I judge them by.
But I'm talking about in a lyrical conversation. I'm not talking about everything. But this has nothing to do. Like when I told you told you that I saw that meme when they were comparing Nas, Jadakiss, Black Thought, and Andre 3000. That was a lyrical. They were talking about lyrics. They weren't talking about their records. They're not talking about their songs. They're saying in terms of lyrics. That's why we're not talking. We're not having a conversation about all of that other stuff unless we're talking about Jim Jones and Nas, because that's what this show is about. This is a spinoff.
He could be considered in the top 10.
Absolutely.
He could be considered in the top 10.
So lyrically, the conversation changes when you start talking about lyrically. And I was saying that a lot of people try to leave LL out of that lyrical conversation.
LL is definitely in the top 5.
But a lot of people are doing what you almost did, which was start looking at the songs instead of they start looking at his body of work that charted instead of actually looking at the lyrics.
No.
So when you go through an LL catalog, you're not just going to get no Roundaway Girl or I Need Love and all of that, or doing it. You're not just going to get that. Not that those weren't lyrically good songs. You know what I mean? But you're going to get if you start from start to finish, you're going to get I Need a Beat. You're going to get Radio. You're going to get Rock the Bells 1 and 2. You're going to get Go Cut Creator Go. You're going to get The Breakthrough. You're going to get My Rhyme Ain't Done. You're going to get Candy. You're going to get Jingling Baby. You're going to get Cars with the Book. Like it's ridiculous when he gets left out of that lyrical conversation. It's like, this is like I stopped listening. I'd be like, you're not a real head. You're not a real head if he is somehow left out of that lyrical conversation. But let's go to this whole Jim Jones versus Nas thing. Let's go there. Because if Jim Jones, if the young boy that sparked this whole thing on the podcast, if you're talking about Jim Jones being more relevant to this generation to the Gen Zs than Nas, does Jim have a point?
No, he don't. I don't think he does.
I think he might.
Maybe let's just put it like this, right? Let me see. How can I explain this? I don't even think Jim Jones. I didn't buy none of Dipset and none of these shit.
Okay. Okay.
Some of these songs was nice. I've never really been a camera. I never felt Cameron like that.
Okay.
No.
You have a call from.
What I can say about Cameron is that he is Dipset.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning he's the one. That's the main focal point of Dipset. Not Jim Jones, not Joel Santana. Dipset is Cameron. He's the CEO of Dipset. Everybody else falls under beneath him. So when Dipset came out, Dipset couldn't come out without Cameron.
Okay.
Dipset couldn't come out without Cameron. It goes Cameron, Joel Santana, then Jim Jones. Jim Jones he's not bar friendly. He don't even have bars like that. His lyrics, he's not lyrical like that.
Well, to me, neither is Joel's. Actually,
right, but you give him, I could give him a little bit more of a push than fucking Jim Jones. Jim Jones is a good hook guy. Pop Champagne, Ballin'. You know,
he had Jim Jones arguably had the biggest hit out of the three. That Ballin'.
You talking about what?
Ballin'.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Ballin', Pop Champagne.
On Nas, I mean on Cameron's album Come Home With Me, on the song Come Home With Me, Jim Jones had the best verse. Easily.
See, you can speak on that because I've never listened to them.
But this is what I'm talking about. So in order to have this conversation, you have to be able to have this conversation. Now, that Dipset shit, I bought a lot of their shit. You know what I mean? With that's why I can name all of the members, whether they were the original three or whether, you start talking about the whole movement. I bought that shit. I heard a lot of that shit, so I can speak about each one of them. So,
right, you could.
So lyrically, the whole game changes. What I take away from Jim is that Max B wrote Ballin'. He can't get away from that. Now, as far as Gen Z is concerned, if they're not concerned about who wrote what and who's actually spitting, then Jim Jones may be able to be more relevant than Nas. Only because he was relevant when they were babies, when they like the boy who said it was 20 years old. So you got to think he was born in 2005, right? Either 2005 or 2000 or 2004, depending on where his birthday is. So Ballin', the song Ballin' came out in 2005. It was a mega hit and it hasn't died. You know what I mean? Like all of the basketball and football players was playing that song. And to this day, it gets played in stadiums and all of that kind of shit. So he has a generational iconic hit. You know what I mean? Almost It Takes Two status. So he has that on his resume. And he came out with that at a time when he was alive. And even though he was probably too young to remember that, Jim has made shit that probably resonates more with his generation than Nas did, because Nas has kind of taken a senior position in hip hop voluntarily.
No.
I'm sorry. Did I hear something in the background?
You absolutely did. You heard me say no, 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 no.
I'm sorry, Miss. If you have something to say, you can just go ahead and say it.
What's up, family?
What's good?
Well, at least he didn't have to call you tonight.
I know, right?
So y'all hear music, y'all come running like, is that a beat? I think I
said, let me get in on this conversation of delusional stupidity tonight. Because what? Jim Jones would never. I'm so embarrassed that son is over here supporting this nonsense and tomfoolery. Like what? This nigga is only relevant because he and his whore can't get that shit together. He's running from a reality show to reality show. He's always doing and saying something to make himself relevant. He's forcing relevancy. And here, because I wanted to be clear when I spoke on this, let's just look at numbers. Spotify listeners, 8 million gravitate towards Nas. 2.2 million gravitate towards Jim Jones. That just says it right there. He ain't shit.
No, that doesn't tell the whole story. Because the question was to the Gen Zs, to this last generation, he may be, because of that reality show that you were talking about, he may be more relevant than Nas with them. Of course, when you look at Nas's Spotify numbers or whatever, you're going to get everybody who liked Nas all the way back from 1991. With Jim, you're not getting that. With Jim, you are getting the Gen Zs.
No.
So they literally grew up.
Gen Z listeners, they reference Nas for bars and longevity and his legacy. Jim does not appear in those lists at all.
Exactly.
Like, so, I believe his relevancy is more localized. He's more localized on the East Coast, New York.
No, that's not true.
People with Dipset and all that kind of stuff. Mm-mm. But he does not have that kind of reach where he's that popular with the younger generation.
He does. He does.
To Nas, he does not. He
does. His reach is he is not just popular on the East Coast, especially now.
He is just culturally relevant in pockets, like in Harlem, maybe in I don't know, drill adjacent fans through Fivio, but Nas is relevant on a global and generational scale, from TikTok to NPR Tiny Desk to Indian hip hop circles. So, I mean, Jim might make the right moves and units with that dumb record label, VL Records, whatever the hell. But Nas is moving in eras. He's doing a lot of shit. Jim can't compare.
We're not arguing whether Jim Jones is better than Nas, period. We know that he can't compare to no Nas. Not lyrically, not as far as records, none of that. But when you talk about his relevance to Gen Z, he may have a case. Because they literally grew up with Jim Jones. They did not grow up. They did. Does not mean anything. To their generation, all right, Kim, check this out. Hold on. You can't say that doesn't mean anything, because it would be like us saying that we grew up on the Temptations. No, we didn't. But we definitely respected the Temptations, but we did not grow up on them. Now, if you say that we grew up on Parliament Funkadelics, we did. Does that make them better than the Temptations? No. But for our generation, we grew up on the funk. We grew up on the disco. We can't claim the Temptations or the Four Tops or any of that or any of the original Motown stars because they are not our generation, regardless of how you want to slice it. You know what I mean? They had already been doing their thing damn near 10 years before we came along. So we're not comparing them in terms of who's better, but when you say in terms of our generation, we grew up with the funk first as children, and then the hip hop as teenagers. That's our shit. So of course, a Run DMC is going to be more relevant to our generation than let's say a Rick James.
That's not for Jim Jones. Jim Jones doesn't fit in any of those categories.
But I'm telling you,
he's more relevant to that. I'm going to tell you what I see in my circle, in my world, and what I do. And because my space is a social media space, which is what the Gen Zers have grown up in, that's what they know. Okay. I know for a fact on TikTok and on Instagram and these social media streets, they are not selecting anything. They are not sampling. They are not creating reels and posts from too much of Jim Jones stuff. Every now and then you see them use clips from We Fly High for, maybe meme content or nostalgia, but you see them more trending from Illmatic and King's Disease. They use that for storytelling. They use that for lyrical breakdowns. They use it for nostalgia. They use it to make memes. They use it for all the new shit that's trending right now with any kind of AI thing. They use Illmatic more than they use We Fly High. They reference Nas more than they reference Jim Jones. This is a fact. This is what I see every day in my world and what I do for business. Well, I even have attorneys who reference Nas, and these are younger 30-ish-year-old attorneys. They're not referencing Jim Jones. So even in the era of what these kids were born into, they are not looking toward Jim Jones. They are looking toward Nas when they're referencing clips.
Okay.
So he's just talking.
Well, and another,
he has a valid argument. He definitely does.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying I hear what you're saying, Kim, and I can also hear what you're saying, son. I understand what you're saying with the Gen Zs, this generation. Well, see, I really can't respect this generation in the air because culturally, the culture states that, you, as a rapper, you have to write your own shit. And if they're allowing the Drakes and other rappers, or even Jim Jones, because like you said Max B might have wrote Jim Jones shit, and you know that and what you said was that. So he's not even. I can't put him in the category of being in the rap. He's an entertainer now, just like I put Drake as an entertainer. I can't accept that. I'm not going to accept if you don't write your own. If Son come on here and after towards the end of the night he does a freestyle. But I know Son used to rap, and he respect the rap by writing his own shit. Even when we done comedy, when did you snatch or steal anybody's comedy shit? No, you wrote your own shit. So when you write your own shit, there's a respect level. You can't compare that to R&B. So at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sit up here and champion Jim Jones. Yes, Gen Z might have a point. But we still can't. I'm not going to give their air. I'm not going to give their air respect because they don't respect the culture.
But the thing is, even Gen Z wasn't arguing whether Nas was better than Jim Jones. They were saying that he was more relevant to their generation. And I mean,
where are you getting that data from? Where are you getting that? I mean, you can look on Apple Music maybe. But where are you getting the data from that this?
No, it wasn't more people were saying that. It was pretty much a meme when this 20-year-old young adult was saying that Jim Jones is relevant to him more than Nas because he grew up in the era of Jim Jones. Mm-hmm. So he's more relevant. He didn't listen to Nas.
Well, the thing is, they asked Jim Jones was on a podcast with Fat Joe and Jadakiss, and and Jim Jones gave a response about what the boy was saying, and he defended himself. He was like, well, he kind of got the conversation started about whether he could compare to Nas as far as record sales and relevance and all of that kind of stuff. So he wasn't the one who started it, but he defended himself. Like, you know, he was like, I'm a fan first, but I'm also an artist. So I'm not going to let nobody, you know, like diss me like, you ain't nothing compared to Nas. Like, no, he ain't going for that. And I couldn't be mad at him for that. I would do the same thing. Like, hold on.
You're not supposed to let that happen.
Right. So
look at a weak man, but that's a weak man because instead of him saying what he's saying and defending himself, in the process he led to putting down. Even though he gave some few accolades, he still made it like he's better than, and he'll never be that. He didn't even have to say that he's relevant in this time.
Well,
he didn't have to say
wait a minute.
Defend himself and talk about his accolades and move on.
But hip hop has always been about competition.
That's
so he was well within his protocol to defend himself and be like, shit. You know what I mean? Look, get the mic, hook the mics up now. You want to see who's better? Let's do it. That's where hip hop comes from.
Invisible collar. That's all he did was
hip hop has never been about being humble or standing down next to compared to no other artist.
It's competitive.
I would never respect nobody who did that. Like, oh yeah, I'm good, but I ain't no Big Daddy. Get fuck out of here. Shit, hook the mics up. Let's go.
That. I'm not saying he had to say that.
Well, okay.
You know what I'm saying is that just like Jahad said the same thing I said. He said Dipset was Cameron and Joel Santana. Yes, he had a sprinkle of Jim Jones.
Yeah, he was.
But he wasn't the top tier of lyrics as them two.
It doesn't matter. But Jim Jones was with Dipset before Jewels was. Jim Jones was Cameron's hype man before there was a Dipset.
Right, so a hype man.
He was already on stage. He was already on records. Jewels
Flav was a hype man too, but Flavor Flav a better rapper than Jim Jones.
No, he's not. No, he's not. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do shit.
You gonna tell me Flavor ain't better than Jim Jones?
I'm gonna tell you this. Flavor Flav never had a solo album, and Jim Jones did. And Jim Jones' first album was fire. Now, regardless of what I think about him lyrically, that first album was fire. It was.
Send me the name of it, and I'm gonna listen to it.
Look, just Google Jim Jones' first album.
Like Jim Jones is just promoting.
Jim Jones' first album. Jim Jones' first album was fire. Listen, you don't have to be. Listen. One thing we all know is that you do not have to be a great rapper to put together a great project. You do not have to be a great lyricist or a great rapper to put together a great project. MC Hammer showed us that. Vanilla Ice showed us that. A whole lot of other rappers from the 80s that we, you know, the era that we claimed that everybody was so fucking great. A lot of cats did that too. You can put together some fly shit even though you may not be lyrically astute or all that skilled. So Jim Jones' first album, shit, I could play that shit today. He had some bangers on that shit. Now, I mean, I'm talking about repeat bangers, not no, yeah, that Jones, no, that was a well put together. Out of Dipset, I would say Jim Jones had the best fucking album. Easy. It's not even close. That Joel Santana shit, Joel's is ass. Man, he is hot track. Lyrically, first of all, he do all that. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm not gassed by that shit. Spit your lyrics. All that filler. All that filler. Come on, man, stop it.
Son, can I just say this to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to listen to the Jim Jones. I'm going to listen to the Jim Jones CD, right? Or listen to it on YouTube. But if I see that somebody wrote his shit, he's out of the conversation.
Well, then you ain't got to listen to it. Max B wrote the shit.
Well, I'm not going to listen to that.
Okay.
It's not in my conversation. I cannot. The culture states that. It's just like if I found out something,
the top was Cameron and Jules Santana. not Jim Jones. That's what culture
You know,
is.
Listen,
Cameron,
y'all didn't
even
follow
though
these
I don't
artists.
like-
I did.
Yes, you did.
I've been following Cameron. I've been following Cameron since his first album.
Judgment. That's why I can respect your judgment when you're talking about Jim Jones, this, because you listen to that. I didn't listen to him.
I listened to their mixtapes that they used to have. That's how they really blew. The mixtapes was
Right.
popping in New York. They was moving. They was moving
Can I
units.
ask you something? Do you think that this set would have been on top without Cameron?
I don't think they was. I don't think that they was on top with Cameron. But that's not what we talking about.
What I'm saying to you, son, that's not what we talking about. What I'm saying to you as this, right? At the end of the day, when you take Cameron, well, Dipset is Cameron. They're part of Dipset. So when you sit back and you add them to the nucleus, right? The top person is what got them in the door. Cameron, because he has a discography of some hits.
Yeah, but
That's just my opinion.
but a lot of people think Cam is trash. It ain't like Cam is this. I mean, you can't ask. Either you respect Boogie Down Productions as a group, or you think that KRS-One is really just Boogie Down Productions. What's it going to be?
Boogie Down Production is a group, but the leader of the group is KRS-One.
Right.
There's no other rapper on there.
Okay, but
It's a movement.
It was
Boogie Down Production is a movement.
Okay, Boogie Down Productions will claim that D Nice was in it. MC Boo.
He was a DJ after Scotland Rock. He was a DJ after Scotland Rock got killed.
The bottom line is Boogie Down Productions had more artists in it than just KRS-One. Now, Boogie Down Productions as a group started off with KRS-One and Scotland Rock. But they were starting to branch off, and they had other people that they considered to be Boogie Down Productions also. So when KRS-One didn't drop the Boogie Down Productions title after Scott died, then Boogie Down Productions is whoever he says is in it. So if you go on tour with them, if you make records with them, if you do features, if you get paid, you are Boogie Down Productions. Now, KRS-One did eventually.
You're right, because D Nice had one hit. My name is D Nice.
But that was on the D Nice album. That wasn't on Boogie Down Productions. He wasn't part of Boogie Down Productions when that happened. Now, KRS-One did drop the Boogie Down Productions label later on and became just KRS-One. There are no more new Boogie Down Production albums. He has been He has been just solo KRS-One since 1995.
True.
When he came out with the Black Cop joint. So I'm not gonna say that Cameron is the only Dipset just because he started it. Everybody had to start it. You know what I mean? That'd be like saying Biggie was the only Junior Mafia. He started the group. But it's the group. The group is the group.
He didn't just start the group. He wrote every rhyme for the group.
Okay, but Junior Mafia did not end after Biggie died.
It did.
No, it didn't. They had
They didn't have an album after Biggie died.
They did so.
They did not. The only person that did something was Little C. And the part that Little C did on Crush on You, Cameron wrote that for him. They didn't have another album after that.
Look it up. Look up Junior Mafia's. They had a CD out that did not include any members except for C's, something L, Money L, and it was 3 of them. Lil Kim, none of them was in it. I had the album. It was actually pretty good.
Who got the production? Puffy.
Just look it up. Just look up Junior Mafia discography. You'll see it. You got me looking through my CDs and shit because I just saw it the other day. I gotta start putting my shit in alphabetical order. Where's that shit?
When we get back to the topic at hand, I'll rejoin the conversation.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Y'all can keep talking while I'm looking for it.
I'm doing that now.
I'm right here. You know what I mean? I got the portable.
Well, I just want to point out. So right now in Nas's Vegas residency, when it comes to Gen Z, it says Gen Z dominate. Gen Z and millennials right now dominate. They spend more money on entertainment than any other group right now. It says Nas's Illmatic 30th anniversary residency at Wynn Encore sold out enough to secure extensions well into 2025, which suggests he's drawn strong interest from those younger cohorts. Even without direct ticket age data, broader Vegas trends and pack shows indicate Nas is definitely resonating with Gen Z in that market. In comparison to Jim's latest album, his latest release, At the Church Steps, came out in February, logged about 5.4 million streams, which translates to about 3,500 to 3,600 35,000 to 36,000 album equivalent units in its first 2 weeks. For context, first week album sales from major acts often hit the tens or hundreds of thousands. Jim's numbers are frankly modest to low, with millennials and Gen Z in comparison to what they're spending for Nas's Vegas residency.
If you go to the numbers, Kim, Nas is always going to win. There's sometimes when you have to go to other sources besides the numbers. If you go to record sales, Nas is going to win. If you go to discography, Nas is going to win. If you go
I gave you 2 resources. Since I've been on the phone, I gave you 2 resources. Mm-hmm. One is in the social media street. Nas is the leaderboard in comparison to Jim Jones. When these new people are referencing any kind of clips for all the stuff they're doing in the social media space, they go to Nas over Jim Jones. And now in comparison, his residency to Jim's new album, they are still flocking to Vegas to see Nas. And wait a minute, let me finish. He's even introduced these new people to going to symphony because he's doing stuff with the symphony orchestra, different ones, and they are paying tickets. They're paying their money to go see him perform in those venues. So again, Jim Jones is not winning with these new people in comparison to Nas. Now I'm giving you 3.
I don't.
Now I'm 3. So go ahead, Troy.
Are you talking about the one that came out in 2007, son?
2005.
2005? You talking about that one?
Yeah, Riot Music. It was a dope album.
Riot Music.
It was actually a dope album.
Yeah, but and another thing about that dope album, I guarantee you look at the writing credits. The writing
Listen. I can't do what you're doing, Troy. When I buy music, I'm not buying music I'm not buying music based on whether the artist wrote it or not. Listen, if I like your song, I'm buying it. You know what I mean? Now,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you as well as I know, when you're a purist, you look at everything has to count. When you're looking and seeing who's in the top 10 or the top 20 or the top 30, it cannot be nobody that don't write their own shit.
Oh, but we're not talking about who's talking.
Gen Z, you're absolutely correct on some part of that. That Gen Z has more in common with Jim Jones than they do with Nas.
let me say what
I agree with you on that.
let me say what my
You both
esteemed
along, man.
let me say what my esteemed Super Bowl MVP quarterback always says. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. Not Jim Jones is not a better artist than Nas. No fucking way. But when it comes to Gen Z, if I drop a freestyle on Gen Z, they're gonna look at me like my head spin around like The Exorcist. I don't want to hear that shit. Oh, hey, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Where is your resource that you're comparing that to? Because I'm going by facts.
You know where my resources come from. You know where my resources. You know where my resources. You know where my resources come from.
Jim Jones to go viral.
You know where my resources come. My
to?
resources come from actually talking to these motherfuckers. I know what they like.
And you think I'm not talking to them?
I don't know if you talking to them on the streets.
Of course I'm talking to them. I go and find who is using who's what illegally. And the majority of people using illegal lyrics, illegal clips come from Nas, not Jim Jones.
What are you talking about? I'm not talking. I said on the streets. Like, I know young people. I can go down on my corner where they pump their little, where they set a little weed.
So you're talking about young people in your area. I'm talking about global young people. I'm talking about the Gen Z as a whole. You're talking about a few in your area. I'm talking about as a whole. This is what I see day to day. And day to day, Jim Jones is not killing it with Gen Z.
I don't think that's true. Because
you can think whatever you want to think. I'm going by facts. What I get paid to do.
I'm going by facts too. This whole
you going about the few you talking about, I'm talking about on a global level. We can't compare.
The fact is, I got a fact for you.
I'm talking about people in Philly, Indiana, India, Germany, Australia. That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm not talking about them.
Don't even compare.
Because outside of the United States, I'm not talking about that. Because it
don't even matter what you're talking about there. Because if you just going by a little handful of young people you're talking to, we have no conversation.
I'm not just going. First of all, at my job, you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of Gen Zs. I got family members. I got my job. I got cats from around the way. And what I'm saying to you is, number one, if you want to talk about facts, the fact is we're only having this conversation because a Gen Z 20-year-old got it popping. So we're gonna the springboard is from that fact. We would not be talking about this had he not kicked it. So
this is the same group who gets stuff talking about.
There's no way I would have. There's no way I would have put.
It make it easier for a woman to eat it out. So I'm just saying this is the same group who talk like that and have those things and get it popping.
So I'm not saying whether their choices are our choices or not. That's irrelevant. You know what I mean? You know, our parents and our grandparents and whatever didn't appreciate a lot of the things that we were listening to and doing either. Every generation has that. But nonetheless, every generation has his heroes. So whereas, hold on. Whereas, even though Gen Z may still love Nas, respect Nas, they may look at Nas as the old head, and they may look at Jim Jones like he's more of their peer, even though it's not true because Jim Jones is way older than them, but his presentation might seem a lot older. The same way that Jay-Z is he's the old head to this generation. They know that Jay-Z is one of the best ever, and he's always in their top 5 and all of that, but he's their old head. So of course they go
fight until the end, argue, because you got to be right. Your opinion got to be right, so you go fight it to the end.
Two things can be true at the same time, Kim. You know what I mean? I don't care how many.
The reason, let me just say this. The reason why I can be somewhat agreeable with you because I have nephews and I have sons. And when I'm around them, and I bring, like, I was a couple weeks, about a month ago, I was in the car with my niece and two of my son and two of my nephews, and I brought up KRS-One and I played it. They listened to it, but they was laughing like, listen to how he rapping. They doesn't know nothing about old school rap. The shit they listen to is the shit they listen to. They don't even care if Drake. They don't even care if Drake write his own shit. They just like Drake.
Aren't you in the same area as Son though? Again, same area.
I'm in Philly.
You're localizing. You're localizing it. I'm not localizing it. I'm saying on a larger scale, they are selecting Nas over Jim Jones.
This is what I'm trying to say.
And you telling me I just got to be right, huh?
Younger people, if you bring up Nas from the 90s to a Gen Z person, they might say they heard of Nas, but they're not going to say, they're going to bop to Jim Jones. They're not going to bop to One Mic. They're not going to bop to Stillmatic. They're going to bop to Ballin'. They're going to bop to Pop Champagne. You see what I'm saying? They're going to bop to all that other shit. They're not bopping the Nas. They're not. I can agree with that.
You don't gotta agree. I'm not saying for you to agree. That's the thing. I'm not saying it for you to agree. I'm saying it because I'm part of this conversation and I'm telling you what I see. And you guys are localizing your opinion.
I'm not localizing it.
Hold on, Kim. Hold on. Let me shut this shit down. Let me shut this down. Hold on. Let me shut this down. Hold on. You're not going to tell me that the only people, that only young people that I know or interact with or know about are people who live in Philly. I gave you that reference because at least it's a one-on-one thing. At least I can give it the eye test. At least I can actually I can actually put names to it. That's the only reason why I brought up the local part of it. I'm on the internet all day just like you and anybody else. So I can, and I know how to research shit just like anybody else. My point is, just like I said before, two things can be true at the same time. There is no argument about whether Jim Jones is better than Nas. There's no argument with that. But you're not going to tell me that Jim Jones doesn't have some relevance, maybe comparable or even greater than Nas, regardless of what the stats say. Because like I said, this conversation is only sparked because a 20-year-old got it popping. So I know for a fact when you listen to the radio nowadays, it's hard for even millennials to listen to sometimes, because it's like, what is this shit that they listening to? So they don't appreciate this.
They're not even listening to the radio. Disney's not even listening to the radio.
But the radio does play what their numbers suggest is hot. So whether they listen to the radio or not, radio still exists and they still play records and they still have sponsorships and they're still alive. Now, Hot 97 is one of the most popular shows in the whole United States, probably maybe even the world. And it's a radio station. So somebody listening to the motherfucker. So
it's like this generation. Now that's just Jim Jones generation. Now, if you go to this generation down and bring up Jim Jones, he might be like, oh, Jim Jones, he okay, but he ain't nothing like King Von. Because that's their generation. That's what they go and listen to. That drill shit. That stupid shit. That kill a person and then go snitch on yourself. That's the generation. Every time we can go back and play MC Hammer, they be like, who the fuck is MC Hammer? Or you can bring any rapper. You bring Run DMC. You bring all the rappers from back in the day and bring them to a Gen Z person. They're not going to see the relevancy in none of them because it's not their generation. There's a generation gap with their music between that. But we as elders know for a fact that they're bullshit. You know, but in their generation, they're not bullshit.
Well, I know this elder over here knows for a fact that Jim Jones does not dominate Gen Z. So You guys are welcome to your opinions. Two things can be the same as one.
And you're going off the and you're going off the you're going on the internet. You're going off based on the internet, and the world is bigger than the internet.
Why
I know it
do you
seems
keep saying that
because it's true.
You have a misunderstanding. See, when you say you search on the internet, you're on the internet just like anybody else. You do research just like anybody else. It's not the same thing that I do because I'm not researching. I'm not going by that. I work in that field. I work in that industry.
Okay.
So I see a whole different data set than you see.
Right. Well,
So
let me ask you. Let me ask you about
the data
this.
set I see, that's why I know for a fact that Gen Z is not bopping off of Jim Jones more than us.
Let me ask you this. Since you've done all this research, are there more people?
I didn't say research.
Do more?
You said research.
What you're describing is research.
No, that's not.
Oh, so when you look up something, you're just looking it up. It's not researching, right?
No, I don't have to look it up. These are the numbers that come to me. I don't have to look it up.
Oh, so when you get information, that's not research.
No, research is when you go work and look for it. I don't have to look for it. It comes to me. The data comes to me. I see when somebody is illegally using clips of somebody big time music, record labels music. And most clips do not come from Jim Jones.
So did you
in that area? It comes from Nas.
When you were on this show tonight, did you look up the numbers or did you already know them?
No, I just went by what I knew. And then I looked up some stuff.
Oh, so now you're going to start lying? All right, we good.
I went by what I knew, and then I looked up so I didn't have
but you did.
I told you numbers.
Oh, but you did look at.
I looked up the residency.
So you did. Oh, you did. You looked it
I
up.
looked up the residency.
Oh, okay, all right.
I looked up the comparison to the album.
Oh, you did that too?
No.
Oh, you looked up two things.
Young people gravitate towards Nas than they do Jim Jones. I said that when I first came on.
So you looked up both things, two things, right?
I looked up the residency and the album.
Oh, that sounds like research to me. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
I said while I was on here with you guys, yes.
Well, you said
that wasn't based off of research. That was based off the work I do.
Research, and maybe the work that you do involves research. You know, it's a really good way to reference things and get information. Research, just a little eight letter word. You know what I'm saying? It'd be doing.
I mean,
numbers.
but it still doesn't compare to what you do. You said research, but it doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. Again, you're going by localized information. I'm going by global information. You're going by you just going to the internet and Googling something. I'm going by the data set that I received.
So you think I don't know how to research besides Google? You know, I went to college.
No, I didn't. Going to college don't have nothing to do with it.
It actually does, because that's where I learned how to research.
I didn't go to college.
Well, but I did.
And I still get the data set information.
But that's where I learned the research. That's all I'm saying. You know, it was a requirement. Like it wasn't like an option. You couldn't graduate unless you did some research. So I kind of learned how to do it. And we didn't.
And we didn't. It's not the same as me going to work and clocking in and seeing this information.
Okay, so you research. You research for a living. But that's okay. I research for fun. It's just for personal use. You research for a living, and I research for personal use. But let me ask you this.
I don't have to go to Google and look for it. I just log in, and then I see the data set.
Okay, all right, Kim. So you are more genius than I am. That's cool. That's cool. I don't have no problem with that.
I'm more genius. That's you saying that.
Okay, all right. I'm saying it. I'm saying that I'm more genius than you are.
What I said is with Gen Z, Jim Jones is not the leaderboard in comparison to now.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Are there more people on the internet or off of the internet?
I don't know. That's not something I'm concerned with. So that's not something I ever stopped to even consider.
Well, it looks like maybe we should research that. Are there more people?
Question.
So because
I don't know what we get from it.
One thing that has always concerned me about statistics is that is vulnerable to to whoever is collecting the information. So that's why, like, when you get polls from one source versus another source, you know, you have to take into consideration where the source of information is coming from, because they may have, some polls may have polled 1,000 people. Some polls may have polled 10,000 people. But the percentages are going to say what they say, and the number of people that they polled is always going to be the small part. So the reason that I ask you whether there are more people on the internet or off the internet, you have to consider that there are I think somewhere between 8 and 10 billion people on the planet, and I don't think that there are 8 to 10 billion people on the internet. So, like, when we see if we take just the numbers off of the internet, yes, we get a profile of the people who are there to be recorded. But what we don't get are the people who didn't participate in that. So just like when it's election time and the polls may say this person is going to win, or this person is going to win, but the results of the election say a different thing, you have to take that into consideration. They may have not been counted on the polls, or in the polls, I should say. So when I say that Jim Jones may be comparable to Nas as far as relevance when it comes to Gen Z, I have to take into consideration that there are some people in Gen Z that can't be counted. If you go to the numbers, just like I said, Jim Jones is going to lose in every category. He's going to be able to hang with Nas, but he's not going to beat him. And that's whether we're talking about skill. That's whether we're talking about record sales, what general appeal or whatever. Whether we just coming off the head with it, or whether we look. Jim Jones can't beat Nas as far as numbers is concerned. Even skill, notwithstanding. But just like they have a certain thing in boxing, like called the People's Champ, where, like, he might be winning in popularity in some regards. You know what I mean? There are people out there that can't be counted. And you can look.
Tell me you're a Jim Jones fan without telling me.
I said he had the best album with this Dipset. Whether I'm a fan of him, hold on. First of all, yeah, I am a fan of Jim Jones. Am I a fan of him?
I know, I can tell.
But whether I'm a fan of somebody or not, that doesn't change. That doesn't change their appeal. Like, listen, I argue all the time about the song. Hold on, don't do that. About the song "Don't Worry, Be Happy." I hated that fucking song. But guess what? That was the #1 song. So it don't matter whether I like it or not. And there's songs that I love that never charted, never did nothing. There are artists that I had in my regular rotation that I thought, like, listen, these artists should be the ones selling all the records. But guess what? They weren't. Myself, I do this show every night. I think I should have millions of viewers, and I don't. And there are other people who say, well, then that show you right. It doesn't matter whether you think something should be some way or whether you are a fan of this, that, and the third. The numbers say a certain thing. But do the numbers tell the whole story? No, but they do tell a particular story. So if somebody,
the story they're telling right now is that Jim Jones is not the leaderboard with Gen Z.
Well, the same way that if somebody came in here right now and said only 12 people give a fuck about what you have to say, then I guess I would have to say, well, you know what? Yep.
That happens on a regular here.
Well, I'm just saying. So if the numbers say that Jim Jones can't compete, then the numbers say that neither can I. Every time I'm on your show,
the numbers show that it's about 3 motherfuckers who give a fuck about what I say and even agree with me. That's a fact. It's about 3. It's about 3.
All I'm
So
saying,
if you was to say more than half of my audience does not care for Kim, you would be accurate.
okay, and that's just,
That's fact. That would be a fact based on what we see.
I'm not.
That's not a poll.
That's
not anything.
That's not.
That's just a fact
No,
on
no,
what
no.
we
It's
see.
not, because we can only see the people who comment. They're not 12 people commenting, so it's not a fact. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's not a fact. When this show is over, it's not going to say 12 people or 14 people or even 100 people. It's going to say 300 or 400. There are people that you can't see.
So you think it's more people? You think it's more Gen Z that we don't see across the globe who prefer Jim Jones over Nas? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it's possible. I can't sit here and say what is or what's not. It's a debate. It's an argument. Does Jim Jones have a legitimate argument that he has greater appeal than Nas? Yes, he has an argument. And I saw another video where they were saying Jim Jones is not a better artist than Nas, and he doesn't make better records than Nas. But right now, he is a better artist than Nas, and he's making better records. That might have some truth to it. If you're talking about right now, if you're talking about his whole body of work, he's getting creamed. But if you talk about right now, just like if I was an up and coming boxing champion or UFC or whatever, yeah. You know, I mean, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Muhammad Ali's, the George Foremans, and all that, they were all better than me. But right now, ain't nobody fucking with me. I can say that based on the pool of boxers that we can see. There might be somebody punching on a fucking bunch of bananas in the Congo somewhere that could fuck me up, but he don't count right now because we can't see him. There was somebody somewhere better than Jordan, but he ain't never get on that basketball court, so he couldn't get counted. So all I'm saying is, you know, by the numbers, I'm going to repeat it. By the numbers, Jim Jones can't hang, but he may. As far as right now is concerned, he might have a legitimate argument. Will he win?
Jim Jones knows how to spark Gen Z into these kind of conversations. That's what he knows how to do.
He didn't start this
from the reality TV world at this point. So of course, you know, that's like Hot Girl. She became popular because she knew how to penetrate these new people into conversation. It don't take much. And then they go on a tangent and everybody needs to talk about it because they want to be the first to bring the news and get their numbers up and create their own virality. Hey. So of course Jim Jones knows how to do that.
Well,
that makes sense.
How did the president of the United States become the president of the United States?
Because he knew how to spark and he knew how to get virality under his belt.
If it wasn't for Twitter, he might not be the president. But there was a Twitter, and he did something. He utilized something that no other president utilized before, and it worked.
Social media.
Okay, it worked. So one thing.
And I'm saying in this same social media space, from what I do, Jim Jones is not hitting the mark. Drake
we heard you.
More virality has had more virality than Jim Jones.
Okay, when did Nas's last project come out?
Well, he has a current residency, so what do we count as the project? Are we counting him playing for the Symphonic Orchestra? Are we counting those? What are we counting? Are we counting albums?
His last album.
What are we counting?
When did his last album come out?
That I don't know.
I think it came out 2 years ago. Was it 2 years or 1 year? Okay, let me see.
I don't know. And he's working on stuff right now. He even has some kind of, I don't know, something going on where he's bringing in people like, oh God, I can't remember. I just seen it recently too. I know he's doing something where he has a lot of people coming in with him. So I don't know what we're counting as body of work. But if you're saying his album, I don't know for sure when his last album was. Jim Jones' last album was in February. I know that. And I know it didn't do the greatest. And it's the only album, he's his artist on his own record label that's not doing great.
Okay, Nas' last album came out in 2023. So if you look at it that way, if his last album was 2 years ago, then maybe Jim Jones is a little bit more relevant right now. Overall, no. Right now, possibly. Now, if Nas came out with an album right now, he might win again. You know what I mean? But I know
Jim Jones' albums are not doing well. He's not getting no big sales.
But we're talking about relevance. You know, he had that reality TV show or whatever. You know, that has an impact too.
How many Gen Z do you think are really watching that?
I don't know. All I know is I don't watch it. All I know is I don't watch that kind of shit.
Gen Z watching than male.
I don't watch any reality TV, not even cooking shows. But I know that a lot of people do watch them. So they count in this conversation. You know what I mean? I'm not equipped
I'm not saying they don't.
Look,
I'm not saying they don't. Well, most of the people who are watching him on reality TV are not people who listen to his music.
But okay. But we how can we really say that though?
I'm just saying that's my assumption. I don't know if it's a fact or not.
Well, why would
but
they?
I don't believe.
Wait a minute. If it wasn't for his music, how did he get the reality show?
How did Cardi B get to be in the reality world? Because and we didn't know her music.
Yes, we did. She made the music first, then she got the reality show. She didn't get it. It didn't go in reverse. Did you know her music before she went on Love and Hip Hop or whatever show she was on? Did you know her music? That's how she got on Love and Hip Hop.
No.
Did you know her music before then?
Listen.
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Troy. Go ahead, Troy.
She was on Love and Hip Hop doing music, but it wasn't until she left Love and Hip Hop that she blew up in music.
But she was doing music on Love and Hip Hop, right?
Yeah, but they didn't play none of her music on Love and Hip Hop.
Okay, but
they just showed her in the studio doing music. They didn't even let her sing or rap on the show. They just said that she was a up and coming rapper.
Okay. Nonetheless, she was doing music, and that's how she got popping. Now,
right
now with and she did blow. She did blow. Now, see, now I don't watch Love and Hip Hop. I don't watch none of that shit. I don't watch Real Housewives, this, that. I don't watch reality TV. I just don't. But I know that shit has a really big impact on a lot of people. A lot of people do watch reality TV and they love it. So I know that Jim Jones had records way before he ever had that reality show. Just like Bobby Brown had was doing music way before he had a reality show with Whitney, and Whitney had one too. So it makes sense that one thing comes before the other thing. Now, of course, when you're on a show,
I'm not denying that. What I said was, I think less people who know him from reality are people who listen to his music prior to him being on that show.
I don't know about that because there would have been no reason.
I don't either. I'm just saying that's my assumption because the majority of people who are watching that are female, and unfortunately, those are not females who listen to Jim Jones or not.
I don't. How do we know that?
I don't know that, but that's my assumption just from what I see, and I don't know if it's true or not. It's a lot of them who don't know.
Jim Jones.
A lot of them who only think those people are from the reality world and not even a lyrical or music world. A lot of them only know them from the reality TV world. Like we knew Cardi B was doing music, but the only way some of these young people know her is from the reality show and her music after. Red Bars came out before she was on Love and Hip Hop or whatever show she's on. That song came out
All of
before
them.
the reality show.
There would have been no way. I don't think that there would have been a way for Jim Jones to have gotten on a reality TV show had people who enjoyed his music.
After he was with Dipset, after All Pop campaign and all that other stuff came out,
that's what I'm saying.
he got on the
Do
reality
you
show
think
behind
the
that.
people put him on? Wait a minute. Do you think the people is the reason why he's on the show?
Anybody
He's on the show because of the people. He's on the show because Mona Scott selected who she wanted on there.
and show business,
Who has the most tumultuous lifestyle?
in show business, you choose. Everything about show business is about money. So if she didn't think that anybody cared about Jim Jones or would watch the show, he wouldn't have gotten chosen. So they already
People on there, people weren't paying no attention to. Like Stevie J, wasn't nobody checking for Stevie J.
Yes, they was.
So he got on that show and acted a donkey.
Yes, they was.
But she knew he came with a bunch of turmoil.
He was very, very popular. Stevie J was very
I'm not saying he
popular on that.
wasn't. What I said is nobody was checking for him. But
Nobody.
he made good TV because
Wait. Nobody in terms of
foolishness.
Nobody in terms of what? What do you mean by that?
Who was looking for Stevie J for music? I'm not talking about
He was
in the studio. Outside of the studio, who was like, ooh, let me run to Stevie J. A lot of people who watch a reality TV didn't even know who he was in that space. A lot of them recognize him from reality TV.
You know why they didn't know? Do you know why they didn't know who he was? Because he was a superstar record producer. Behind the scenes, he's responsible for a whole lot of hits. Everybody who is getting money is not in front of the camera. But if you getting money and you've been responsible for other artists getting money, they can if they can see that you're marketable in a lot of ways, then they will get you in front of the camera. That's the way that.
So you can understand what I'm saying, because I think you're confused about it. A lot of young people, these new people on the planet, they didn't even understand who Kandi Burruss was when she first got on Real Housewives. They really thought she came from reality TV. They weren't that familiar with Escape. It sounds insane, but Escape didn't have anything going on at the time that show came out. So a lot of these new people on the planet assume this is just somebody in this reality TV space.
So now listen what you just said, Kim.
And the stories start coming out.
Listen what you just said. A lot of these young people didn't know who Kim Barris is. And what I'm telling you,
Kandi Burruss.
Kandi Burruss. A lot of these young people, if you mention Nas, I say from a scale of 1 to 10, 7% of these damn kids, 70% of these kids are not going to know. They're going to either heard of them or not know who Nas is.
Hey, two things can be the same at one time. You're going by your opinion, and I'm going by my fact.
I'm going by my opinion because I've been around a lot of them. A lot of them. From my kids growing up, from their kids, from their friends being around, from being around in their circles, from doing comedy and all this shit.
Why do y'all keep saying that to me like I don't be around young people? I don't understand that.
I didn't say that you wasn't around young people. But what I'm saying to you is that you can't say that it's just local. You can't say it's just local. I'm saying to you is that if you mention, just like Kandi Burruss, a lot of these young people don't know that she's from Escape. They don't even know that shit.
No.
They just think she's a reality star. And that's the same thing they're going to think about. That's the same thing they're going to think about when you mention Nas. Tomorrow, when you go out about your day, do 10 people. Do 10 to 15 people. Ask young kids. I know who Nas is.
What I'm saying to you, I don't have to ask anybody because I see it.
Me personally,
that's my point. I see it. Let me explain to you. I get a data page, and on the data page, it'll show who is sampling. Listen, it shows who is sampling whose work. It shows the age group,
It doesn't mean who's sampling, it means who's listening to whose music, who's relevant at the time. The music.
Jim Jones is not the person they're getting clips from to use for their stuff that makes their whatever go viral. It's coming more from us.
Jim Jones has a clothing line. Jim Jones has a sneaker line. Jim Jones, I don't like Jim Jones' music, but he has other
How many kids you know wearing Jim Jones stuff? How many young people you know wearing Jim Jones stuff?
How
I don't have to know who wearing it. They know they're wearing it.
How many young people are wearing Mutant Ninja Turtle shit? Somebody fucking buying the shit. You know what I mean? I mean, like if it still exists, somebody's buying it. And he been putting in work with that fashion shit and all of that for a long time. And that's a fact.
I'm not knocking Jim Jones. The only knock I have on Jim Jones is that I don't think that he's a great lyricist. Everything that Nas got everything else on him. The part where the Gen Z come in at, that part right there, I can somewhat agree on that.
It's worth putting an asterisk by it at least. You know what I mean? I don't think that Nas is gonna cream Jim Jones as far as Gen Z is concerned. Gen X and probably millennials, I don't think Jim Jones stands a chance. But with Gen Z, they different. They different.
He might have a chance with this new group, the newest new people. What are they? Gen, Beta, Alpha, whatever they are.
Gen Z.
I could agree.
That's where we are.
That group.
The Gen Z,
but not Gen Z.
Do you know the numbers, the years for Gen Z?
The Gen Z is right after millennial. My baby's a millennial.
Okay. So do you know the years when the millennials stopped?
Not really.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, like I said, with the Gen Z cats, he probably got it going on. Jim Jones has a chance with the Gen Z cats. You know, like.
And that's your opinion. In my opinion, he doesn't.
Okay. Well, you know, neither one of us are Gen Z. But, you know, like I said, when I say he has a chance, I didn't say he was definitely going to win, but I think he has a chance because a whole lot of other cats have a chance. And it's an interesting thing about the Gen Z cats, because when we were listening to hip hop, the people who were doing hip hop, the people who were singing the songs, producing and performing, they were not that much older than us. It's a funny thing how Jim Jones is in his late 40s. Nas is in his early 50s. So and you look at like the Drakes, the Kendrick Lamars, the all of them are in they later 30s, getting ready to turn 40. They pushing 40. It wasn't like that when we was listening to hip hop. We didn't look at anybody who was. Remember, we thought MC Hammer was old because he was more than 10 years older than us. So to us, he was like crazy old. But Hammer was born in let me see. I looked it up the other day. I can't remember. What year was MC Hammer born? 1962.
MC Hammer was born on March 30th, 1962.
I'm sorry, he's only 8 years older than me. So 9 years older than you. So, but we looked at him like he was older. Now, tell you the truth, he wasn't nowhere near all of that old, because Houdini and them were along his age, and African Bambaataa and Grandmaster Flash and all that, they were way older than us. But as hip hop started to become more popular, most of the people who were making the records were around our age. You know, they might have been 5 years older, maybe even 5 to 8 years older, like Hammer or whatever. But we still considered them to be in our generation. 1962 was actually the last part of the baby boomers. They not even Gen X. I bet you a lot of them don't know that. Gen X, the cutoff was 63.
I feel like David Banner would.
Matter of fact, 64 to 80, 64 to 1980 is Gen X. So, you know.
I believe David Banner he probably sold more of the God box than Jim Jones sold of his.
David Banner ain't made a record in how long? His shit wasn't popular when he was out.
No, he had a following.
He had a following, but not because of his records.
David Banner was behind the scenes.
David Banner was he was a producer, plus he had that the social.
I agree with the social. Said Lou Rawls is better than Jim Jones. Agree.
Oh, the David Banner had that social awareness thing going on, so he blew up a lot with that because he was smart.
Well, you got to also remember the first person he really produced that gave him his millions of dollars in the beginning was Road Band Man by T.I.
Dope album. Real dope.
Yeah, most definitely.
Mm.
If you look up, he also did the Whisper song for.
He sure did.
That.
It's like they never happened though. That shit crazy.
Hey, as soon as you hear from the window to the wall, sweat dripping down balls, you know he's still there.
All I'm saying is it's like they never happened. You know what I mean?
You play in church.
Oh yeah,
I heard my kids sing that one day.
They do play it in church, but they
don't ever sing that again.
They do play it in church. They just don't play it like on Sundays. They play it in the back where the pastor is in his chambers or whatever you call it. They play it there.
You know some churches that remade that song. You know some churches that have remade that song like they do all the songs. But the pastor is talking about
to the wall. See the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I tell you, the first time I heard the kids sing it, I thought I was going to lose my whole life because I was going to stroke out because I couldn't believe it.
I don't know how we grew up on 2 Live Crew.
Hey, listen. I ain't gonna even lie.
Don't make a difference. When you hear your kids say some words and they little, it stops you in your tracks.
Everything sounds good. Like I never forgot my oldest daughter. One time I came in the house from work and she had her pamper on, had her little onesie and everything. And her boss, she talking about, I got my ether in my panty on. I said, no, you got a onesie and a fucking pamper. Say it again.
Mm. I remember when my niece, my baby niece was singing, "Do me, baby, do me, baby." I remember thinking to myself, like,
We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck what our son is singing. But I'll be damned if I let my daughter sing that shit.
What's her name who sang the song Promiscuous Girl or Promiscuous? Nelly Furtado. Is that her name?
Yeah.
My little goddaughter, she didn't know the words, so she said commicuous. And she just sing it. I'm a commicuous girl, some, whatever the lyrics were. And one day I sat still and I really was like, what the hell is she singing? And then I heard the beat and I was like, shut up. Don't sing. Just be quiet. Then I told her mother. So her mother asked her to sing and she said, that's a good thing she don't even know what the word means. But she needs to stop singing that song.
Like, it fucked me up because I was in the car with one of my boys, right? His daughter was in the car. So she's sitting in the back and that song come on, make me sweat, make me holler, make me lose my breath, make me water. I said, yo, why you letting your daughter sing this song? Man, it's just a song. What the fuck is that? You talking about? She's talking about make this boy. She wants this boy to make her bust. She talking about make her water. Do you get the song? Stop playing. Yo.
Then
That's what
there's
she's
that.
saying, bro. I mean, listen, man. I said that before.
Jihad said,
until your daughter sing the song.
yeah. Jihad said, son, I agree with you. That 2 Live crew was terrible. Yo. Yo, they was the springboard. I ain't never heard nothing nastier than them. Like, they set the bar too high. Like, you couldn't. How you gonna beat them?
But you know, it was nasty songs. In our grandparents' generation, they had nasty songs. Because there's some lady, I cannot think of her name, but when I finally sat down and listened to her music and listened to the lyrics, I blushed because I'm like, wait a minute, Grandma, what the hell were you talking about? Then I was thinking, did my grandmother like this? Was she singing it? And I was traumatized because the lady said something about, that's my big dick and I'm a ride on it and he gonna sit it all and I'm a ride and sit on it in his lap. And I was like, why is she saying these words?
Yeah, but she didn't. But she didn't. But she didn't say she was gonna suck it though. So there's different.
Then you really.
We knew they was riding on something. We knew they was riding. Look,
she never really listened to Millie Jackson.
She ain't saying nothing about sucking dick either. She ain't saying nothing. There was no dick sucking records back in the day. But when
she didn't say suck it, she said she's gonna sit on it and ride.
That's what I'm saying. Well, we knew they was sitting on and riding something. They was all having families of 8 and 9. What the fuck? That's a lot of storks.
Let's talk about Clarence Thomas. Clarence Carter talking about I be stroking. That's what I be doing.
I know, right?
He was talking about he was talking about a rowboat. All right, y'all. It's 2 o'clock. I mean, it's 4 o'clock. Let's get on. He was talking about a rowboat. He was talking about a rowboat. I know that for a fact. I looked it up. All right. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Hey, yo, thanks for calling in.
Hey, yo, wait, I just want to say this real quick, son. I like to thank you and Kim for making it such an entertaining night. It was a beautiful conversation.
Lord, I'm tired as fuck. Y'all wore me the fuck out tonight. I'll let y'all later.
I know one thing, you ain't playing no Call of Duty tonight.
I don't play it until the weekend anyway. I only play on the weekends. I holler back. y'all be safe. All right, y'all. Yo, let's do these birthday shout outs and get on up out of here. Let me let y'all good folks go to bed or go to work or, you know what I mean? Go to hell. All right, yo. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious June 25th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number 1 out the box. My peoples. Tina Denard, happy birthday to you. And also, Minetta McIntyre, no relation, but what up, cuz? Happy birthday to you. And also, Santa Cooper, and Rodriguez, Urena Maria, and Tressa L. Oh, no, that was from yesterday. My bad. And Connie Greer, and last but not least, my girl, Danya Carter. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious June 25th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out. Rock on and do the damn, the rock out. Rock on and do the damn rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing and do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, Jim Jones, Nas, whatever, man. You know what I mean? Whoever's better, whatever. I know that Nas is better than Jim Jones, but I don't know about these Gen Z cats. They have a mind of their own, and they have a zone in which they are alone. every generation differs a little bit from the past generations. And a lot of times we think that the generations before us were, but that's that. I'll holler at y'all later. Yo, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I love y'all to, yo, peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death, resuscitate y'all, and love y'all right back to life. Holla back, peace.